6:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Katharine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The need for restructuring the state entrepreneurs emphasized. The Disaster Management Centre says that a special program will be implemented to minimize the risk of floods due to the onset of the monsoon rains. It has been stated that the local government polls should be conducted before the general elections. Yuktiya, over 111,000 suspects arrested so far in the anti-drug operations. And in news overseas, Northern Lights stunned the UK in a spectacular display. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. Senior Presidential Advisor on National Defence Sagala Ratnayaka has emphasized the need of restructuring the state entrepreneurs. The restructuring of state enterprises is imperative. Public entities often strain government resources. Litro Company, once a financial drain, has now turned profitable. As a country, we must speed up the progress for economic collapse led to a surge in the living expenses in the past. When we examine the present statistics, they reveal a robust economic growth for our country. Following the 2 years of economic turmoil, the primary account balance has shifted to a surplus and the rupee is appreciating swiftly. Stability reigns and with the inflation in check. However, despite these positive indicators, challenges persist. To strengthen foreign exchange earnings, we should boost tourism initiatives. Transforming our ports into logistical hubs holds promise for economic expansion. Further advancements can be made by boosting our manufacturing sector and even exploring electricity exportation. Agricultural development is another avenue for exploration with numerous opportunities awaiting. Litro Company appears to be embracing modernization, setting an example for the other institutions to follow suit. While government initiatives are essential, collective support is imperative for success. Tough decisions were made to steer the country back on track, with everyone enduring challenges along the way. The current favorable position of the country is a testimony for confronting rather than evading issues, he stated. The Disaster Management Centre says that a special program will be implemented to minimize the risk of floods that can occur with the onset of the monsoon rains. The centre also stated the risk of flood arise in the vicinity of Kalani, Kalu and Gengangas. Meanwhile, the professor of the University of Peradeniya, Tilak Vijayatunga Bandara, said that the temperature of the island has increased considerably after 8 years. The climatic changes have caused this issue. The hot weather climate has affected the northern, north central and eastern provinces drastically, with more than 39 degrees Celsius during the recent past. Parliamentarian Partili Champikaranamka says that the local government polls should be conducted before the general elections. There were many obstacles to conduct the local government polls. He stated that the country will face an unstable economic environment if a general election is conducted. This is a news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Your next generation digital banking partner, People's Bank.
And we continue with more local news. Agrarian Development Authority says that more than 210 million rupees has been credited to the respective accounts of the farmers to purchase fertilizer. The funds have been transferred to the farmers in the districts of Ampara, Anuradhapura, Hambantota, Kurunegala and Polonnaruwa. The expected land area of this harvesting season is 460,000 hectares. The Agrarian Development Authority says that 7 billion rupees has been allocated in this regard. 50,000 rupees per hectare will be paid for a farmer to purchase fertilizer in the upcoming Yala season. A total of 111,074 suspects have been arrested, while 4,472 among them are under detention orders for questioning since the beginning of the Operation Yuktiya to date, police spokesman DIG Nihal Thalduwa said. Meanwhile, the police spokesman stated that 41 kilograms of heroin, 43 kilograms of ice and 300,000 narcotic pills have been taken into custody thus far during the island-wide operations. Furthermore, the value of the illegal assets seized during the operation is around 100 1,500 million rupees, according to the police. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The need for restructuring the state entrepreneurs emphasized. The Disaster Management Center says that a special program may be implemented to minimize the risk of floods due to the onset of the monsoon rains. It has been stated that the local government polls should be conducted before the general elections. Youth year, over 111,000 suspects arrested so far in the anti-drug operations. And that was the local news.
Enjoy seamless shopping. Open LCs, settle bills and transfer funds instantly, anywhere and anytime. With People's Bank Digital Solutions, you're empowered to do more whenever and wherever you want. Unlock a world of modern banking conveniences with People's Bank, your next generation digital banking partner. People's Bank.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
The main news story for this evening, State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siamalapite stated that President Ranil Wickremesinghe has directed him to conduct a comprehensive analysis of the interest rates applicable to the savings of the senior citizens. Minister Siamalapite claimed that around 80 billion rupees is required annually for senior citizens' savings, with an outstanding debt of 105 billion rupees to be repaid from the Treasury for the previous allocations. The Finance State Minister also emphasized President Wickremesinghe's dedicated and sensitive approach to addressing this issue, affirming that all requests regarding the interest rates for various age groups will be thoroughly analyzed. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
And in Watch Live this evening, National Dengue Prevention Week will commence from the 26th of May to combat the rising cases. The initiative, led by the National Dengue Control Units, targets 71 MOH divisions across 17 divisions. With 22,943 reported cases and 9 deaths this year, the program aims to curb dengue outbreaks during the upcoming monsoon season. With that, let's move on to the headlines of the world news. Northern Lights stunned the UK in a spectacular display. The US says Israel may have breached international law with American weapons in Gaza. Hunters joined search for kidnapped Nigerian students. Those were the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. The Northern Lights have made a rare appearance across the UK, delighting sky watchers up and down the country. Exciting onlookers shared pictures of the lights, also known as Aurora Borealis, visible light across the country, including the south coast of England, and if missed, with a likely chance to see it again tonight. They could be seen one after the strongest geomagnetic storms for years hit Earth, with the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration issuing a rare solar storm warning. The US says Israel may have used American-supplied weapons in breach of international humanitarian law in some instances during the war in Gaza. It is reasonable to assess that those arms have been used in ways inconsistent with Israel's obligations, says the State Department. But it added that the US did not have a complete information in its assessment and that shipments could continue. The report was submitted to the Congress yesterday after a delay. The White House ordered review looked into how the country, along with six others engaged in conflict, used US-supplied arms since the start last year. Gunmen kidnapped 9 university students in Kogi State, central Nigeria. Local reports say that the gunmen attacked the Confluence University of Science and Technology late on Thursday night. They entered the classrooms where students were preparing for the upcoming examinations and reportedly started shooting sporadically into the air. Then they gathered a group of students and whisked them away. The Kogi State government confirmed that there were 9 abductees, but there are fears that this number could be higher. And that was the world news.
Development news.
And in development news, the Ministry of Justice will introduce a mobile court system. Measures will be taken to hear witnesses through online. The first program in this regard was implemented recently. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Criminals will provide its support to this program. That came to you in the segment of development news. And now let's move on to sports news.
Moving on with sports news.
Under-23 Women's Super League T20 cricket tournament will begin on the 15th of this month. 4 teams are to participate in this tournament. The tournament will be conducted until the 26th of this month, and all matches will be played at the Galle International Stadium. That was the sports news, business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Palavata Dairy Industries has reached an agreement with the Department of Animal Production and Health to conduct artificial insemination under its dairy development program. This collaborative effort aims to modernize dairy farming practices, enhance livestock genetic and boost the dairy productivity. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, treasury bonds valued at 70 billion rupees will be issued. The auction will be conducted on Wednesday and the biddings will be called from primary dealers. That was the economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department of Meteorology has issued a severe lightning warning for several provinces in Sri Lanka, including the western, Sabaragamuwa, southern, central, northwestern, Uva and north central provinces, as well as Mannar and Vavuniya districts. In light of this situation, residents are urged to take precautionary measures to minimize potential damages caused by lightning activities. The public is advised to seek shelters indoors, avoid areas under trees and open spaces such as paddy fields and tea plantations during thunderstorms. Besides, individuals are cautioned against using wired telephones and connected electrical appliances during the storm. Motorists are also advised to refrain from using open vehicles like bicycles, tractors and boats, as temporary localized strong winds may pose hazards. Fallen trees with power lines are also potential risk during severe thunderstorms. For emergency assistance, residents are encouraged to contact the local disaster management authorities. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. The need for restructuring, the state entrepreneurs emphasized. The Disaster Management Center says that the special program may be implemented to minimize the risk of flood due to the onset of the monsoon rains. It has been stated that the local government polls should be conducted before the general elections. UPA, over 111,000 suspects arrested so far in the anti-drug operations. In news overseas, Northern Lights stunned the UK in a spectacular display. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news, and in a few moments from now we will be getting back to the regular program, that is Sri Lankan Stars, starting from 6:30.